Okay, so we're going to be talking, of course, about writing strategies today. So the first, real quick, we'll just use this Post-it, and I want you just to think about, we're just going to do like a minute, think about strategies that you are using right now for writing with your kids, and just write it on the Post-it, and you're going to put it in your backpack. I think so. Thank you. Maybe. So, you've all heard like your teaching toolkit and all that. So this is, the backpack is your teaching. So what strategies do you have that you can put in your backpack? All right, so you guys, sentence starters, fragments, yes, repeated practice, graphic organizers, absolutely. Visuals, yes, perfect. Yes, every one of those is imperative for students with disabilities especially, or anybody that's struggling. Sentence starters is the go-to to help them get started. So all of those, that's a good foundation. So you're going to take what strategies you already have, and we're going to talk about some today that strengthens your current teaching practice. So what we're going to do is, these are the learning targets that we're going to be looking at today. So the first one is the 6 core principles. All the strategies that we're going to be doing is based on the writing revolution. I just picked out some of the these are all for foundational skills, and then it expands on it. We're going to model some sentence level strategies that build writing fluency, and then integrate this strategy. So you can be able to think about how you're going to take these strategies and put them back into your instruction. Okay, so the first one is, we're going to talk about the 6 core principles of writing. So this first one is, writing should be taught explicitly, preferably in early elementary. Now I've underlined some key words in these because writing is, first of all, it's hard. Nobody likes to do it. Nobody likes to teach it. Nobody likes to learn it. I mean, it's because it's complex. And so a lot of times we don't explicitly teach writing, we just kind of assign writing. And if we start in the early elementary, by the time they get older, then it's going to become easier. And you have those foundational skills just like in reading or math or anything else. Sentences are the building blocks of all writing. We have to start, so that's really what all that we're going to be focusing on today is sentence level activities, because sometimes our students are asked to write a full paragraph or a page when they can't even write a sentence. So that's where it starts. Writing instructions should be embedded in the content. This one is one, and I know my school did it at one point. They would, you have a writing teacher and you have a reading teacher. And then your writing teacher, they're teaching writing and doing all these things. And then, so if you can embed it into your content of science, social studies, it's a double whammy. So you're developing that content while also learning how to write. And then the content of the curriculum drives the rigor. So these strategies that we're going to do is, you can make it more rigorous based on the content that you're teaching, or make it less. So you can use these K-12, and even at the sentence level, because we have some high schoolers that are at that level that they need to learn how to write an appropriate sentence, and so you can use that content to make it. Grammar is best taught in the context of student writing. So instead of taking them through like a handout and having them do that, take their own writing and teach that through them, so they can see it and it's meaningful to them. And the 2 most important phases of writing is the planning and revising. So once they get to that piece, and then you have that first draft, you come back, and you have them revise it, plan ahead, brainstorm. So all of those are key skills that is the most important pieces of writing. So the sentence is the engine. So this is why we're focusing again on the sentence level activities, because it's that important. If they can't write a sentence, then there's no need to move on to anything else. Okay, so now it's showtime. So now, as y'all see, we've got stations. So we're just going to go through each strategy as a station. And so you're already at station 1, so you can stay seated. So the first one we're looking at is sentence or fragments, okay? And then it starts out simple to a little bit more complex. So this one is really just helping them identify what is a complete sentence and what is a fragment. And then you can start, this is just a general, so all of these are in this participant folder. And so I think this one is just for you guys to share and look at, but there's one in a digital copy. Because what this is a template. And so you can go in and change it and add the content however you need it to when they're just identifying if it's a fragment or if it is a complete sentence. And then this one that we have, I have the poster, and then this is one that I have copies that we're going to work through as an example on how to talk through that. And then you have, there's some examples of like doing level 1 or they call it level 1 and level 2 students, but it's more, it's just like your beginner and more advanced students. So like on the first one, you could start out and say, look at this, look at your direction, at the sentences here. And then you start out by doing one orally first. Of course, so this is an example, so we're not moving to this yet. Then we say, okay, if I said ran home, is that a complete sentence or does that sound like something's missing? So what do y'all think? Something is missing, isn't it? So and so if you were to do it for a level 1 student, like beginners, you're going to have to prompt them because they may not know. They may think that is. It's like, well, if I just said ran home, does it tell us who ran home? We don't know. So it's not a complete sentence. So we need to add a subject on who ran home. So what would be, and you would have, some of the students be like, okay, so what could we add to make that a complete sentence? If we need to answer who ran home, what could we say? Joe ran home. Is that a complete sentence? It is, yes, because we know who ran home and we know what Joe did. So that is a complete sentence. So then, so now let's look at our sheets. So this is the sheet you guys have. So then all that you're going to do is we're going to look at this. You're going to write an S if it's a complete sentence or an F if it is a fragment. And so the first one, let's read this one together. So everybody was a black colt. Okay. Would you think that is a sentence or a fragment? Okay. Well, so let's go ahead and put an F here on on the first one. Now, how can we change this fragment into a complete sentence? So, and this one, of course, I didn't mean, so this would be as far as if I'm embedding in my content. So this is literature. We're reading about Black Beauty. And so this would be good to, because I'm also, once we get down, you can see I'm pulling details from the story so they're having to know parts of the story. Then later on, they'll be able to summarize, answer the comprehension questions, and things like that. Okay? So, was a black coat. So, what would be an example? What could we say to make that a complete sentence? And so, of course, this is who we're talking about. So, what could we say?
Black Beauty was black coat.
Yes, Black Beauty was a black coat. So let's everybody write that on our paper. Black Beauty was a black colt. And then, of course, you... I didn't bring my... This is why I thought I brought them down here, but... I hate not being stayed. I feel like I'm back in the Martha Jane traveling from room to room. because, and again, depending on your students, you're going to talk through this, do it with them. That's why you have your version up here. And so then you say, okay, so yeah, this is a fragment. And this is also modeling what it's supposed to look like. And then you can have, and then going back into talking about the grammar in students' writing. So depending on the time that you have and things like that, then you can talk about, okay, notice the capital letters at the beginning, what goes at the end, you can talk about that. And then why are my B's capitalized? And what kind of a noun is it? It's a proper noun. So that's the colt's name, because colt is also a noun, but it's not capitalized here. But this is the proper noun. So you just talk through each of those. And then, so it's a simple activity, but it sparks a lot of conversation to get them thinking about. So this, like you can tell, it's a very basic. Is it a complete sentence or not? And how do we make a complete sentence? So again, like you all said, the sentence starters, they're not having to really come up with any, just one piece of that sentence to make it a complete sentence. Okay, all right, so now we will go ahead and, before we move to station 2, do we have any questions or comments about sentences or fragments? Okay, go ahead, get your papers with you and stand up. And we are going to swim like a fish to station 2. Okay, now.
Recording us? Because I was doing the little.
It is recording it, yes. So now we're talking about scrambling sentences, or unscrambling them, I guess, rather. So when you do scrambled sentences, you want to use statements, questions, and exclamation. So avoid using commands when you're scrambling, just because they could be interpreted. There's probably more than one answer. They're shorter, and it's just not a good example for them, because it's kind of not straightforward. So just make sure when you do that, you're going to do statements, questions, or exclamations when you're doing these. So one activity that you can do with them is, I actually did have that in there on purpose. I was like, wait a second. So what you just take sentences and cut them apart, and then actually have them put them back together. So
if you've had any of this, so I'm glad that you got this.
So I saw a thing, and they took Jenga and on the blocks wrote a word, and then the kids can build sentences out of that. So yeah,
that is, yes.
Maybe instead of the Jenga blocks, just a lot of random words, and let them build sentences.
That's a great idea. I love that. So, and then I have 2 different sentences, and then of course based on the level you have 6 or 7 words or 8 or 10. So this one is the longer one. So go ahead and get that out. And again, if once you get it out and read it, you can tell again we're embedding it into our content here. Okay, so everybody's got it in row.
Such a good activity for writing center.
For
writing center.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Yeah, this is something they could definitely do, and not have to be on top of them and guided. Okay, so let's read this sentence together and let's see what we come up with. The Louisiana Purchase cost $15 million. Okay, that makes sense. They're all in the correct order. Good job, guys. So now what I want you to do, and this is why the paper's in here now, is that the words are in correct order, but we still have to do a couple things to make this sentence correct. So what are some of the things we need to do to this sentence? What will be what's one of them?
Capitalize that.
Yes, got to capitalize the first word. So go ahead and just write this sentence on your paper. And then, what class would this be in? What class would you probably see this at? Yeah, so you could do this with your social studies class. Now, go ahead and put your things back in your bag. And then I have one more example. I mean, it's the same thing, but it's a different content example. Because I think sometimes, even though that we know, it's hard to incorporate how are we going to do that into a content. Especially math. I think math is difficult too. Okay, so, and of course you all took off and did it, which is fantastic. But what I would do is when you get them all, give them time to work the puzzle, and then before you do the writing, go ahead and just have them read it out loud and read it together, and then talk about if the sentences make sense and things like that, and then direct them to that. So let's go ahead and read the sentences that you all made. So,
Protons have a positive charge.
okay, so protons have a positive charge. What class would you see this in?
Science.
Okay, yeah, this will be a science class. So then you can talk through. So in this one section, you're teaching them about the charges and the protons, and then of course all of your sentences will be related to that lesson. So they're learning the science content, and then again, this is going back to teaching the grammar in their writing. Then you take that time, talk about, does it make sense, the capitalization, punctuation, all the things. So what are some ways that, just thinking about this, that you guys can use it in your, I want to say, like your daily life at school?
I like these. I mean, I was in a classroom where they utilized something like this. Of course, it was more simple sentences. But I was thinking, I would like to be able to do that in my classroom. I guess my thing is just having the time to make to have the sentences that go along with the content, whatever it is that we're on. Which, and some of these, like I was looking at the source for that, like the reading or the writing revolution. Yeah, like some of those, I mean, maybe it's already embedded in it, so I don't know.
They provide examples in, like Black Beauty was an example from the book, and so it has a few, but I'm going to tell you how to like you said, and it's funny you said, because when I was doing this to get ready for this, I mean, it did take a long time. I mean, I thought to myself, like,
okay.
it's, and I thought, okay, it took me back, because I was like, okay, here I am spending all this time for one lesson, because, this is one lesson. And I think, how these teachers that have different preps, so it's hard, it is time consuming to cut out all of these things, and, and so that is the key, the kicker
But
on
just
that.
having it set up already. So if you
Yes.
have it 1 year, well, then you have it the next
Yeah,
year
you
kind of
can
already.
repeat
So
it. It's just that
cleaning
initial
ahead,
setup.
yeah.
Now, I don't know if you all utilize ChatGPT, but that's
Well,
what.
We're not supposed to.
No, we're not supposed to, but I can
They
hear
smack
some
our
of them
head
over
for
there.
it.
Well, they need to get off that because it's here. I mean, you know.
So in the spring, we came to Start Tech, and I said, listen, like, we did an AI class. Y'all gonna have to remove this stuff.
It's, I mean, well, because
We have to
just,
get on
it's
our
so
own. We can
helpful.
connect our hotspot or something if we're at school.
Yeah,
Because they have
and I can
everything
see blocking
Yeah.
students from
Yeah.
it, but you guys are,
We have
because,
students like trying to be girlfriend, boyfriend with AI. It's like,
oh gosh, yeah.
yeah,
I'm-
so students sometimes,
Yeah.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
But I mean, I use it all the time for, you know, just like, because I mean, it's like, yeah, I could sit here and come up with sentences, but
It would
it's
be
just,
so much
just give me
easier.
some, you know?
Yeah.
So,
But it would be because I don't even know where we were, but somewhere, and because they talked about like in resource class, like if we can tie it back to what they're actually doing in
Yeah, content.
their content classes, you know, it's much more beneficial. So, which, knock on something right now, I don't have any writing kids, but I'm sure I will before it's over with. But like going, if I could pull some stuff out of their content that they're doing, right, you know, and put that into their sentences.
It'd be
And
good
the ones that are
Yes.
even building paragraphs.
Yes.
it'd be good
Yes.
for vocabulary words too. I thought about
Yes.
that. Like,
Yeah.
I could use the sentences and have them write, because I've got special ed, they're middle school, but I've literally got some that can't even write a sentence.
Oh, others have.
Yeah.
So if I do vocabulary, that would be something I could do, like reiterate their vocabulary words that way, so. I love
Definitely.
this, and I'm doing centers every Monday and Friday. I'm trying with my class, and that would be, this is a writing center that I didn't think about.
oh,
So, yes,
good,
I'm excited.
good, yay.
I do want to, like, some of mine are more advanced and they're building paragraphs, and so
Yeah.
like I break down sentences from their paragraph and they have to build a paragraph back.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, what district are you from?
McGoffin.
Okay, yeah. All right. Okay, so we will move on to Station 3, and for this one, we are going to march like a robot to Station 3. All right. Now, and Station 3 is about sentence expansion. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and refer you to the guided notes that I handed here because we're going to talk about sentence expansion a little bit. And I just went ahead and put those on there just so that you would have them. And so first, let's just look at that together. How does sentence expansion work? And what I did at first is I just gave the directions from Writing Revolution, and you know how textbooks tend to be very wordy. Okay, so the first one. So let's just read the first one together. Give students a kernel sentence. Okay, then what do? At the same time, select appropriate questions for them to respond from the question words: who, what, when, where, why, and how. Number 3, have students provide answers to those questions in the form of notes by utilizing the sentence expansion form. And finally, have students convert those notes into a complete sentence by utilizing the sentence expansion form. So basically, here's what you're going to do with them, because that's very, very wordy. So you are going to start by giving them the kernel sentence. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. And then so give them a sentence, give them the question words: who, what, when, where, and why. Okay, then you give them the answers, what you talk through, and then you take those notes, and then you put it into, and of course, going back to what you all said, templates, and you're going to have this is the sentence expansion form template. So they've already got it laid out for you. You can go in there and edit it yourself. I can't remember the folder that you guys have the access to. You you have to make a copy, but then once you make a copy, you can do whatever you want to with it. So that's there for you just to look at. But then these are also some, and these are in there as well, that, just reminders that you can have for the students. Yeah. And then this, okay, these are the activities we're going to do in just a second. So you're going to, give them the question words and then have them fill it out. So now let's talk about a kernel sentence. So what is that? What do you all think of? So you're thinking about expansion, and then, okay, so from an expansion, we're doing a kernel sentence. So what do you think a kernel sentence is? So, it is a complete sentence, I will tell you that. But if we're going to expand it, so it's probably going to be short. Yes, very simple, very simple. So, the big reveal. Okay, so this is the definition of a kernel sentence. So it's basic, simple, and it's a declarative sentence. And then this is key right here. Only the essential subject and a verb, but it is a complete sentence. So it's not a fragment, it is a sentence, only the essential. And an example of that would be birds fly. 2 words. It's a complete sentence. It has the subject and it has the verb. So you start with a kernel sentence, and then you have those question words. Now, for a scaffold, because of course with our kids, you're not going to throw every one of those question words at them. So you're going to start with just maybe 1 or 2, and then you build on that as they develop that skill. So and then you can do, as an example, we're going to expand. So I took that template and I made this one. So this is a social studies class talking about communities. And this one is, I think communities is around I'm not sure, 2nd grade level content, I can't remember. So let's expand it. So then you're going to talk it through with your students. Okay, so our first sentence or the kernel sentence is they help. So let's think about that. So think about in your community, they help. So who could be they? What would be some examples of people in your community that would pertain to? So let's just throw some up here. What would be some? Who could be they? First responders. Okay, who else? What about teachers? Teachers help. Preachers. Okay. And this one kind of covers a bunch, but the kids may break it down into like policemen, firemen. So let's break this one down. So doctor, police officer. Yeah. Yeah. Firefighter. So, what was the last one?
Veterinarian.
Oh, definitely. We cannot forget the pets, can we? And like you said, community leaders, and they definitely would help. So what would be some examples of community leaders that we have? Okay? So you guys, there's a bunch of who they could be. Okay, so now that, and then this could be, this is our who. Okay, now let's do what. So they help. So I want you to think about, and then what you could do is, okay, we've brainstormed a bunch of up here. So on your paper, and I think, actually, let me give you all paper. Oh, I have you to do one independently. That's what I was going to have you do. So let me get this paper over here. So you guys pick one of the who's that we have, or you can do one on your own, but they're probably going to pick one. So just pretend that it's this format, okay? So pick one of those of who that you want to be. It does not have to be the same as your neighbor. It can be with whatever one that you want to talk about. And by doing this brainstorming, you're doing that review of your community, of your lesson as well. Okay, what? So what are some, thinking about our answers here. So you all think about your person or your people, because it's they, of what you chose. How are those people going to help? What are some of those things that's going to answer what? What do they do?
Like the vet helps sick animals.
So who are you all going to choose?
I was gonna do doctors.
Doctor?
Yeah, sure.
Whatever.
Well, you can all do something different.
No, we can do the
We
same.
should all
That's
do
that's
that by the
fine.
same. Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. So, well, if you, okay, we did it, okay, so we're going to do a vet. Okay. How do they help? So we said vet, so now we have who is vet. So vet helps. Vets, it's plural because it's they. Help. How do they help?
Treat sick animals.
I said treat them.
And keep them healthy, not just the sick ones. Keep them all healthy.
Okay. And then you can, so then if they keep your animals healthy, then what does that do for us? So does that make us feel better that our animals are healthy? So how could that make us feel? Okay. And then we'll do, okay, so that you get the process. So you go through and you brainstorm, and then so this would be the what. Okay, and then you can leave these up and have them as examples. So then what you're also doing is keeping vocabulary words, you're keeping ideas up here that all link to the content. So then after they go through, so they're going to have these notes on every line. Then what you do is you start here, here's your information, and then you're going to write that into one sentence there. So then our expanded sentence could go into, instead of they help, then it would start out by, you can say, the veterinarians treat sick animals, or veterinarians keep us happy by treating our sick animals when they are sick, and it could be, in our community. And so then so they just take that and then each one, and then they put it into the sentence. So you talk them through that, they write it, and then again you go back, have them check for grammar, and then things like that. And before you have them, after they get their sentence written, then give them the opportunity. Okay, so now let's go back, let you check your sentences, make sure you have, and then it's a COPS talking about acronyms this morning, is COPS. It's capitalization, organization, punctuation, and spelling. So you check those four things. Does it make sense? Do you have all of those things? And then, because going back to having them be able to revise it themselves is one of the strategies that helps them become better writers overall. So, so C is capitalization. O is organization, and that goes back to the scrambling, you know, are they in the right order? P is punctuation, and S is spelling. And so, again, you know, that little acronym, you could kind of use that little thing that I keep calling her Miss, but Anita Archer did this morning with a slant. So if you teach that to them, then be like, okay, let's do our COPS, and then they can do it. Here are some examples of, so like I said, this is the level 1 example. It just has like 3 question words and then that. But this is one, it has the example on the back. So I was going to go ahead and let you look at those. And then here are, this is 2 examples of like to scaffold as well. So this is a level 2 example of what that would look like. And then we'll go into these scaffolds too, because I know we need them. And then, so this one. So this one would be the most, the level 1, they call it, for our beginner students. Are we done at 2? Is that what time this is over, I think?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And we're on 3, so, okay, we're doing pretty good. So this is a level 1 activity. So this one, if they're not even ready for what we did, then this is an example. And again, there's a template in here for you. So you go into, you just had the sentence already. So this is the expanded sentence. And then you look at the underline section, and then they just answer, they say, what is it? Is it who, what, when, or where? Because that gets them to understanding what they're looking for before they write their own. Because going back to, they have to be able to identify them before they can produce them. So that would be an example. And you all can take this if you want to, just as a copy. So if you want to note it, this would be a beginner scaffold activity for them. And then this is an example of a level 2. So it's still a scaffold for students that need it, but they might be they're ready to move on. Like, so after you do that first one, then this might be one you can do later. And so this one is just, it starts with the kernel sentence, and then it has it, and then they write it out. So it's just a little bit. You can see that gradual release on that. Okay, so any questions or comments about sentence expansion or all that? Okay. All right, so let me get my page here. Okay, so then from 3 to 4, we are going to tiptoe like a cat to the next one. Okay, so this one is talking about the 4 sentence types. Okay, now, so this is yours. Now, what I would probably do is like glue them or something like that, but I had them in that folder, so I didn't.
Yeah.
I just you know, just for carrying purposes, I did not do that. Okay, so then you're going to introduce the 4 sentence types. Okay, and then the way that you can do that, this is just a fun, I mean, just a more different interactive way to do that. So one thing you can do is, okay. So with this, so you talk through, introduce each one of them, talk about what the 4 sentence types are. So let's talk about what those 4 sentence types are. So we had them listed over here. We have the declarative, question, exclamation, and question. Okay, so then so everybody has one. So I'm going to give you guys, and then you're going to talk through those. You know, explain what each sentence type is. You know, talk about that and all the things. So after you do the introduction, then this is an activity that you can practice with them. So okay, I'm going to show you a sentence and read a sentence, and then you're going to hold up. We have the one that faces me, which punctuation goes at the end of the sentence. Okay, all right. So the first one. Let's do one for practice just to make sure everybody knows how to use it. So if I said, what is today? You are absolutely correct. Okay, now are we ready? Does Anna want to go? Okay, perfect. It is. What is the name of that punctuation?
Question mark.
It is. What is it, everybody?
Question mark.
Okay. So like what she was talking about, so everybody does everything. So if you do have one person, because you all may not have known the answer, and so she said the answer, so after you get the answer, have everybody repeat it. Those opportunities to respond. Okay, so the next one. Don't go, Anna. What could that be? Okay, on this one we have 2 different answers. So if I said, well, let me do this. You have a period. So if you put a period at the end of this sentence, how would you say this sentence?
Don't go, Anna.
Okay. You 2 have an exclamation point. How would you read this sentence if?
Go, Anna.
How would you read it?
Don't go, Anna.
Yes. So in this case, you guys, no, you're both right. You are both right, because it does depend on how you say it. So you all did a fantastic job by, if you see an exclamation point, it's going to be with a exclamation. You're going to have excitement in it. And if you're going to do a period, you're just telling her, don't go. All right, last one. Anna doesn't want to go. Okay, and we all have periods. So you all are saying, for the most part, you're going to just say Anna doesn't want to go. So, okay, so that's just like a little interactive way that they can do that with. And again, they're not having to put a pencil. And that's the thing too, because we all know how our kids hate to write. So you're doing, I mean, they are having to write, but they're not all, they're still learning writing without having that pencil in their hand all the time. Okay, so now the other activity is these little response cards that I've made here. So then, now this one I've made this could be, I don't know. I mean, it depends on your kids as far as complex, you know, how they get all twisted. I don't know, but you have to use your own judgment. You may even, like for a scaffold, may only, if you have to introduce 2 sentences at a time, because if they're having to do 4, then maybe the easiest one would do a command or a question, because those are 2 easy that are opposites. So you can start out with just doing these 2, and then you can build and add the statement or the exclamation sentence. So how you would do that is then you have another set. So this time you are going to have the punctuation, because they're just identifying what kind of sentence it is. So if I said, "Don't go, Tony," then what you're going to do, of course, you're going to put whatever sentence it is, you're going to hold it up and face me. So, okay, perfect. Okay, the next one. Tony doesn't want to go. Perfect. Okay. And this is a good formative assessment as well. Does Tony want to go? Go now.
I'm like,
Yeah. Okay. And so that I have these up here. So that when we're talking about those scrambled sentences, you can see why now you wouldn't use probably commands to do the scramble. So all right, good job, guys. So that you all did a fantastic job. You know your sentence types. Now, this is when you start introducing the sentences, you can start with just some general questions like that. But again, we talk about embedded into the content. So I want to, here is, and what you said earlier, this thing requires you to have a passcode. It's set up, I don't know why, and it times out. Okay, so what you said about the vocabulary. So you can take learning the 4 sentence types and assess, or not assess, but build the vocabulary. So this is a way that you can do that. So you're going to use sentence type activities to assess and reinforce it. So whatever the vocabulary that they choose, then you can do, you're going to give use your vocabulary words. So this one they used a science class as example. So that, and then you have, can everybody see that? Okay, so you have like the vocabulary from your science class. And again, you can see where the content drives the rigor. So you can do the same activity with kindergarten all the way up, depending on what words that you choose. And then say, okay, so you have I have 4 vocabulary words here, and then beside of it, I had each sentence type. 4 vocabulary words, 4 different sentences. So we're doing 2 concepts at the same time. Then they are having to write a sentence using that vocabulary word. Okay, so then for evaporation, when they write a sentence, then they're going to have to know what evaporation is for this to make a sentence out of it, to make sense. And then it has to be a command, so they have to know how to form it into the command, know what kind of punctuation's at the end, and things like that. So, are you wheels are turning? Do you think about how you can incorporate this activity or some with your activities with some of your kids? So what are some of those ideas that you guys have?
For me, it would still be like I said over there, like getting their content, because like when I get resource writing kids, I've got them for 15 minutes, but they are by grade level, so like I would have my 6th graders, so I could pull something that they're doing in either science or social studies, and I mean, there's a perfect example. After we've worked on their vocabulary, plus we've probably been on most of them some pre-learning anyway of their vocabulary, so then we can tie it into this too. We could have went from our reading resource time to regular science class, social studies, whichever, and then to our writing resource time.
And it makes,
all into one.
Yes, and it's seamless, and that's what. And then the kids, it's
the
coherent.
repetitiveness will help them retain it.
Yes, yes. Anybody else?
I think for me, I teach MSD middle school, and I think some of this, it would be hard for some of them, but like this, having it even maybe even on like a block or something that would be easier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Having them to be able to do something like this would be really good. Of course, I love the cutouts. That's probably that and this. I like the visual part of this, but having that to be where they could put the sentences together. I have a student who really gets it kind of switched up a lot. you know, so it'll be, I could start a lot simpler, a lot, at a lower level maybe with them.
Yeah.
And then kind of get it into some different levels. And I could maybe tie it in with the content too, if I can, and maybe use ChatGPT.
Yes, not maybe, you would, yes, for sure.
And because I know I've used it for, not ChatGPT, but I've used Magic School, I think, for social stories. So I know that like you can generate it on different levels, and like I can say, okay, create a social story for, you know, so and so for this behavior at, you know, 4th grade level, and it is. So I feel like I could probably do something like that with those.
You
Good.
could even
sentences.
use, I don't know, this might be too much, but like those social stories and breaking some of those sentences that will make a simple social story.
Yeah.
So, what about you?
You're kind of what they're saying is in the same. Yeah, I like the scramble. I'll definitely use that. And as far as like getting, I've probably used ChatGPT to get other classes like in the writing. So yeah.
ChatGPT, I mean, it's like, because you can say, give me, I need the Louisiana Purchase, I need sentences on a 1st grade level, because I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what grade level they talk about the Louisiana Purchase, but if it's a 6th grade level, but your student is reading on a kindergarten level, so they're still, you know, that goes back to that inclusion and having them access to the curriculum.
Help myself get through 8th grade science last year. The NTI about took me out, but
I had to co-teach in 4th and 5th grade social studies, and I think I learned more than the children, because I mean, I was like, well, I mean, it was fun. Like I said, I did learn a lot, but
so hard this year. Like we didn't have, well, there's new science curriculum this year, and supposedly we have access. But we had Amplify, we couldn't access it. It was just a hot mess. I don't know what it's talking about to start with.
So we've been doing this
The
shit.
kids, you know, they act like they don't know what they're talking about. We're going to open science.
So, okay, we have one more station to go to, and this time it's up here. When I came in this morning, because I was like, oh, I've only got 4 tables, so it's up here. So we are going to fly like a bird to station 5. You can bring your chairs with you if you like. So station 5, this one is talking about this. It's they call it simple but powerful, and it's just because but so. And what I love about this one is it. So it talks about. Let me get my little thing here. So look here, sentence stem, which every one of y'all put sentence stems on here. So the because but so, it's based on that, and then of course it says you want to make sure they understand what because but so means. Is when you're talking about, you know, like but is like will be an opposite thing and things like that. Again, the reminder, content drives the rigor, and then you can again use to practice vocabulary or the spelling words. And the way that you can do that, well, I get ahead of myself sometimes. I get excited. So first you want to do it orally, again, just to get them understanding what it's about. You know, what because but so means. So this will be a good example to use at the beginning, because all kids can relate, like teacher being happy and give reasons why. So you can, again, talk through that example. The teacher was happy because. So why would be it?
It's Friday.
Yes. And then you can say, okay, the teacher was happy, but she had to go to work on Friday.
Angry.
And the teacher was happy, so
We got extra time.
Extra recess.
There you go. There you go. So have the kids generate examples and, talk through those. Get more than one answer for each of those. So, and again, they're doing it orally. So they have to, if they're able to produce them orally, they got to be able to formulate them first before they can put them on paper. So you're doing it orally, getting them to practice formulating those sentences in their head. Okay? Then, after they understand it, then you can use it for new vocabulary, which I think is so important. I mean, it's just, which of course vocabulary is my thing. I love digging into all of that. So, okay, so we're going to do a math example. Okay, so when you're doing this, in here, and this is in your folder, you have these terms, or it is terms, but I was going to say this little poster here that gives them like a reference sheet on what words. I mean, when you talk that language, it's a reference for them that they can go back to and be like, okay, now what does that mean, and things like that. Because again, because after you teach it, if you want to put it in a station, and you'd be like, okay, and you're not, I mean, some of these you may not even get to some of your kids, depending on, but like state, summarize, they hear that all the time. Illustrate, compare, contrast, those kind of things. So that's a resource for them. And then also this right here. So for them to start writing sentences, then these are some examples that they can just pull from and add to their sentences. So these are all in that folder as well. Here are some transition words. So if you were doing this, I would have, and it depending on what lesson you're doing, you can give it to them all at once. You can just do some of them, however you want to do it. But this is just a reference to let them have a word bank that they can pull from. And then you can make, and then these are, so did some task cards, and then I did it on math. Want to do our math example. So I guess we need to be doing that because I got 10 minutes. So I'm going to give you guys a copy here. Okay, so our vocabulary word that we're going to talk about is equal. Okay, so equal means the same amount or value. So when you talk about doing a vocabulary, you want to give them kid-friendly terms. It means the same. You want to give them an example with a visual. So this is an example. This is if the sides are equal, if they're the same, they're going to be balanced. This is the same. This is not equal. We have 3 on one side and 2 on the other. They are not the same. And what you say is you want to say equal, not equal when you talk about that. So you go through, okay? And then go through all of that. Well, then you come up with the sentences using that vocabulary. So looking at your math sheet, it says complete the sentences using because, but, so. So my vocabulary word is equal. We've talked about it. We went over it. Then the 2 sides are equal because. So how would we complete that sentence?
They both have 6 decks.
There you go. And then you can, and again, there's your sentence starter. They're not having to do the whole sentence. Okay? And then by them saying that, they know what equal means, and then they also understand what because means. Okay, next one. The 2 sides are equal, but y'all, it's been a long day, ain't it?
They are different colors.
There we go.
Yes, yeah. They are different colors. So anything that makes it different. The 2 sides are equal, so
They are the same.
yeah, it works because that's part of the definition. Yeah, you're exactly right. And so, but do you see how that gets there? You're doing multiple content, multiple strategies, multiple whatever, learning different things in one activity, because we're all about bang for our buck, because God love them. I mean, we're short on time for what all they need. And then this is like I said, these are just task cards. I printed them on cardstock paper, but so like you did the handout, but then also going with the math, I did greater and fewer. So then you can have this out, and you know, they're doing the same exact things, but it's just more fun to do it on a card than on a sheet of paper.
Right.
So just a couple of things like that. And this would be good if you can, as a reinforcement, you know, you can do the handout like we did that. We did this together as a class. And then when you turn them loose to go to a center, or if you're having to do something with a student and they need to do something independently, then they can, okay, go complete these task cards and things like that. So, and again, always go back, have them review the sentences, do the COPs. Okay, I got my sentences done. Okay, did you do COPs? You know, and something like that, and take that back. Okay. Now, when you are making your sentences, so formatting matters. And when you put the line underneath like that, it doesn't look like it's a continuation of the sentence. It just looks like that's the question, that's the answer.
Maybe that's why so many kids, like, when they go back to write the sentence, they don't, you know? Like, they'll put, the teacher was happy because, and then they put the rest of their sentence down here.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of, like, my 5th and 6th graders.
Yeah.
Shoes, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And then this one too, because because that's not showing complete sentences. And then, you know, it's just don't do that. So this would be a correct formatting. If you have to go to a different line, just make sure you have enough to where it shows a continuation so that they understand that is one sentence and it's together. Okay, so and then these are the resources. Like I said, I showed you the resources. That's all in that writing folder. I think because so you guys are going to have two. I mean, I just made this writing folder, and then we decided to do one folder for the Institute. So you're going to have two folders.